Hello everybody. Earlier on in the week we posted a review on A Star Is Born. Both of us were deeply affected by the film. We loved it, didn't we?
Yeah,
absolutely loved it. And I haven't really spoken about much else all week. My friends now are sick to death of me and avoiding me, but I just felt so passionately about it. And not only brilliant acting, directing, singing, all of that, but also the way that they tackled addiction and specifically addiction within a relationship. Mark's been sober now for
14 years. This coming October the 28th.
Yeah. And because we've spoken often in our mental health and addiction videos about this issue, although we've had loads of comments about Star Is Born, thank you so much for your comments. I have read every single comment and I think I've answered most of them. But we thought, because it's mental health awareness this week, we would just cherry pick from those comments all those that that addressed addiction, suicide,
And mental health in
and
general.
mental health in
and being
general.
in a relationship. And it's World Mental Health Day today.
And it's
This
the
is coming
actual
out.
mental health day today. So we thought it'd be a really good thing to just read out some of your comments and discuss.
I mean, one of the things I will say is that since seeing the film, I haven't necessarily spoken about it lots with people, but I have thought about it almost constantly. And Maddie, our eldest daughter, has been playing the music from it. I can't listen to the music because it literally already fast tracks me to a place of intense, not anxiety, but intense emotion that I can't control getting there when I hear the music. As soon as I hear that song, I'm sort of taken to a place against my will, really. And yet at the same time, I'm desperate to watch the film again.
Me too. I mean, I've had texts from friends saying, "Oh my God, you guys were right, I've watched it, but I don't think I'll ever be the same again having watched it."
No.
It's such a powerful film. And your comments...
Yeah, we've both pulled out some comments.
We've sat there, haven't we, and gone, God,
Remarkable
our subscribers, the eloquence of so many of you, but also just the way that you share back your raw feelings with us.
You help.
Like an AA meeting,
it's just like going to a meeting. This isn't just a good film. I really want to stress this. This isn't just a good film because of its subject matter. And this isn't one of those films that's simply good because the central performances are so toweringly brilliant. It's also a brilliantly conceived, executed, paced, shot, made film. And I do think within all of this chit-chat about, how brilliantly important it is, and it's all of those things, it manages to do that so well because it's been so brilliantly and consummately made. And that's a shout out to the entire crew.
Please, Oscars all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, so the first one that you pulled up was from Abba-Jim,
and he says, "Thank you. I walked out of the theatre feeling detached from my body. I was expecting to walk out of the theatre humming the songs, but as I walked to the subway, I saw two addicts passed out in the street, and I just lost it. I haven't felt this way in a long time, and your words helped me to process my emotions as a former addict myself. I think I need a nap." Well, I felt all of those things, and I'm not an addict. So what was it?
Well,
do you connect with what
I'm
he
totally
says
with
there?
Abba-Jim insofar as I went into this thinking, okay, it's going to be another rendition of A Star Is Born. Nothing could have been further from the truth.
So unprepared.
And as soon as I felt that fishhook go into my heart and start dragging me like that, I was like, oh my God, hang on a minute, this is something completely different. It did make me... I felt like when I came out of the cinema, the world was like it was made of crystal glass. Because my theory on addiction is that every single person is combating and battling it in some way. And, so you're right, to come out, we came out of our cinema having seen it, and there were homeless people outside, and there were, you walk the streets of London, there are addicts everywhere. And it's easy to just see that as part of the set dressing of urban life. And actually, the what ifs, one of the things about this film...
It's behind all the closed doors of people that are high functioning, that are going to work, that are raising families, and they've got all the pain and suffering and dis-ease of the disease of addiction.
But I suppose,
or depression, because this is about depression as well.
It is. And also, of course, it's a glamorous top end of it. It's rock stadiums and music and what have you. And, the everyday lifeness, I never cease to be amazed when I go to meetings. It's not the incredibly articulate, sort of wealthy, sort of famous people that are remarkable. It's people who have literally got themselves into these meetings off the street. who haven't had what I had, which is what I call microwave recovery, where they put you in a microwave for a month in rehab, get you to a place and chuck you out. You know, a lot of people go into these. A lot of people try and sort their addictions out at street level.
And of course, with it being Mental Health Awareness Day, we mustn't forget that actually people using drugs, drink, alcohol, sex, shopping is a way often of self-medicating, and food self-medicating anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
So all of this is really relevant, I think. So do you want to read it?
Yeah, you guys made me cry. I loved when Nadia said thank you to Mark. I know, I loved that.
Oh, this is within our review. I thank Mark for being
going to watch this film for sure, but I have depression. So did my son. He went missing and was going to take his life.
Oh, no.
Also, Lady Gaga has fibromyalgia, which is what I have. So she must have been in so much pain doing this film as the pain puts me in bed for years. Thank you for an honest review. Thank you for an honest review. Take care of each other, Mark. You've come such a long way. Be proud of yourself. Thank you, Karen.
Oh, and I'm so sad for you with your son.
Yeah.
I mean, that I can't imagine what a challenge. I mean, with Mark's depression, it's really, really hard sometimes. It's really hard seeing somebody you love sad. And then it can be really hard on you, because inevitably seeing somebody that you love sad leaves you sad as well. So the fact that you're also battling fibromyalgia as well, my God. Thank you for sharing back with us, and we send you lots of love.
This next one I wanted to read out, it's from Mr. Midnight. I just watched this today too, and when I saw your review was nearly 18 minutes long, I knew you had connected with the film on a deep level. How can you not? Addiction turns beautiful people into beautiful disasters. That's one way of putting it, but still beautiful nonetheless. It's real. They lay it all out there, and that's why it hits you right square in the heart. Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you, Mr. Midnight.
Well, yeah, I mean, that is the thing, beautiful people into beautiful disasters. And I think the film portrays that so brilliantly. And it's like I always say, you know, when people say, oh, addicts, the addicts that are usually incredible. There's something usually, I mean, I actually, recovering addicts, I love, because there's something just completely bonkers about, in a good way.
But I do think,
in a good way, those extremes, if the awful symptoms of addiction, i.e. the actual using, can be controlled and can be, what's the word, not controlled, but managed. Then what is that underneath the very thing that drives somebody to be an addict is, like he says, a beautiful, brilliant thing.
But I would challenge everyone. I mean, a lot of people who stand in judgment, I mean, I'm not saying lots of people do, but you know, there is a lot of judgment made of addicts. It's your choice, it's a lifestyle choice. Why can't you just stop taking? Why can't you just stop doing? But also there's I don't know whether you've had this in your life since you've been with me, but sometimes there can be judgment of staying with someone like that. You know, they're selfish. What's wrong with you? Why are you with this person? You know, there's some sort of insufficiency in the person who's with the addict, as much as there's some insufficiency in the addict themselves.
The rescuer.
So I think, going back to that point that Mr. Midnight said, that, you know, beautiful, you know, it can be a beautiful disaster. Beautiful people can become beautiful disasters. It's not that there's a charm and an interest and they're beautiful but, you know, you're picking up something of the real person behind the illness.
Yeah.
It's like just seeing the person on the dialysis machine and thinking that's all of the person.
Yeah, exactly,
it's not.
Exactly.
It's not.
Okay, this was from Sam Score, and this kind of made me smile this a bit, because he says, I think it was the first time maybe he'd visited our channel, because we quite often with our film, well, with the review, we're separate, aren't we? We're on separate shots. So he said, wonderfully sensitive review. Thank you for speaking about this film. You're right. It will touch anyone who watches it. You don't have to be somebody that's in the midst of addiction, because it's about relationships and about people and about being a human. I had no idea you were both in the same room. I thought maybe you were divorced or something.
Well, we were talking to each other over Skype.
Yeah, but then when you got up and hugged, it was beautiful. I'm so grateful you both have fought this together. You have a beautiful story together, and it's clear this film resonated with that. Thank you, Sam Scott. I read that one out, not really because it was anything to do with mental health, but just thought it was so funny that you thought we were divorced.
That is funny. That's funny. Next one, Jacqueline Cruikshank. Thanks for a very honest and personal review. This film is phenomenal. It made me think of my father, who is long dead but was an alcoholic in denial.
Oh, God, that made you feel.
Oh, God. Well, if I'm honest, it makes me scared, and it makes me, because of course, you're only a recovering alcoholic the day you say you're a recovering alcoholic. I mean,
but also the thing is, Mark, your mum was an alcoholic through your childhood.
Well, she was.
And you know, oh my God, Maddie Di, we are so proud of her.
She stopped,
5 years sober.
She stopped drinking 5 years ago.
5 years sober, but being the child of an alcoholic and the adult child of an alcoholic, again, thinking of Mental Health Awareness Day, is just such an enormous challenge. And she says, doesn't she, that my childhood was destroyed by this disease, and I still feel the shame of it today.
There's so many embarrassing
things occurred.
And that's the heartbreaking moment in the film when, of course, he's on stage. And I couldn't quite believe that was happening. And I fell apart at that point. You know, there's the phrase often said when you reach and hit your rock bottom, and there's the worry that when people relapse, and you know, unfortunately, sadly, many people do. Most people do, and it's often said, well, maybe they haven't reached their rock bottom yet. Now, the danger with this whole concept of, oh, you haven't hit your rock bottom, which is often said, is what's the ultimate rock bottom? Well, of course, the ultimate rock bottom is death. And
the thing is, people say it to me all the time, oh, but somebody has to want to get sober. It's not true. Mark wouldn't have got sober unless everyone had said to him, if you don't get sober, well, you're not going to be in our life.
No, if you've
they
got
say
no
at the choir
self-worth.
it's really, really rare for someone to go, oh, do you know what? I've hit my rock bottom now. Could somebody help me get well? It doesn't work
You've
like
got
that.
no capacity to orientate yourself. And with any mental health condition, this is why one can't stand in judgment of anyone who commits suicide. You're coming at the decisions that someone's making with the clarity of a relatively, in inverted commas, well-balanced mind or you know, approach to it. If you're in the really sort of narrow cast pit of a bottom of a hole, which I've been in, which many people have been in, and many people find themselves in constantly, and I'm constantly skirting around the edges of it, all abilities to sort of get perspective on things have gone. So you're not judging things like, I want to hurt this person, I'm not thinking of that person, I'm leaving this person in a terrible state. And that's why I was, you know, so moving to look, again, the impact at the end of this film is just so much more complicated.
And she says, this film will be healing to many people. I'm so glad it was made so sensitively. It's very emotional and moving with excellent music and performances. Thank you, Jacqueline Creekshank. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry your father just couldn't step out of denial. Brutal for you, brutal.
But here's the thing, hearing comments like that and me thinking about comments like that makes me more double down on my own sobriety for the sake of my own children.
So thank you for sharing, because that is how that's how it works, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
This
next one is Randall Emerson Appleby. Wow, the two of you are an inspiration. I'm so genuinely grateful for this intimate conversation that you've shared. This movie hit me so hard. I swear to God, at certain moments I couldn't breathe. I've almost killed myself multiple times while under the influence of substances. I'm so sorry. And driven people that matter most to me far away. But thankfully, through the help of my family's unconditional love, I've been sober for 3 years now.
Yes.
Win. That's a win, yes. Randall. The word I feel that best describes the experience I had watching this stunning film would be visceral. This cut me to the quick. I'm liking and subscribing immediately. Oh, bless you. And I find you both to be so beautiful. Thank you again for sharing your stories. Give me a lot of hope. Randall, 3 years, a day at a time, Yeah. Well done. Again, you know, those times when you've driven people that matter most to you far away, you're not sitting there going, you know what, I really want to drive all those people who care for me far away. It just doesn't work like that. You know, there isn't a willful desire to hurt. I'm not saying there aren't willful moments of bad behaviour. Of course there are. But within the tapestry of mental health illness, here's the thing. Most people have something wrong with them in terms of mental health. We all have very different ways of masking it, plugging the gap, negotiating our way around it. You know, we are all struggling to live a very odd life in this world today, and in very different parts of the world in different ways. You know, it's a real struggle. It's a real struggle just to live.
And you know what? I mean, thinking again, we've spoken before about, you know, the appalling rates of suicide we have in young men. Just thinking of Randall here and what he said there, that he's almost killed himself under the influence. You know, it's just like, what are we going to do about that? The way that men just don't speak about their feelings in the same way.
I know, that's a whole... But that is just so much of
a part of addiction as well, isn't it?
Well, that's where I believe it's so important to have these campaigns. Men need to see more men talking about these things. And I'm not saying whether it's whoever
That's
it is.
why I'm so bloody proud of you, because it is scary and it is difficult to talk about this stuff. Because people always say to me, oh, Mark's so brave. Isn't Mark brave talking about that? You know, and people look at you. I mean, there you are. You're successful. You're incredibly intelligent. You're good looking. All these things. And people go, oh, doesn't look like he's got depression. Oh, it doesn't look like he would have been an alcoholic. Well, what does it look like? What does mental health, somebody struggling with mental health look like? So often, people who commit suicide, their family and friends had absolutely no idea what was going on underneath. So,
Oh, bless you. Sorry, I'm just pulling up the next one, which is a very long one, from Kirsten Vockert.
So I'm just going to edit this a little bit because it's long. I am, to be truthful, scared to watch this film because I know I'll be an emotional wreck and there won't be enough tissues, however many I bring with me. I agree with Nadia's comment about suicide. My mum killed herself after years of battling depression in the most drastic way. I still see myself from above cleaning up the leftovers. And after so many years, I still can't reach myself in that particular moment in time. It's still unreal to me. In her letter to me, she just wrote one sentence: my victory is my defeat. And that really says it all. She didn't want to die. She just couldn't live anymore. As hard as that is for the ones left behind to comprehend, that is the simple truth. Suicide is never easy, hardly ever selfish, never a coward's way out. It's a capitulation and acceptance of their truth. No matter how hard you fight to live, how much you love,
how much you want to be happy, there can come a point where you do not want to battle anymore every minute of the day, where you do not want to feel others tiptoeing around you, feeling awkward and insecure, and thus making you yourself feeling exactly that, awkward and not belonging anymore. To anyone, suicide in my experience is the result of feeling utterly disconnected to everything, and especially to the people you love the most. And the full awareness that there is no logic behind this emptiness. You watch yourself in your life from above, alienated from the person you see there and you can't pin down. It's like trying to catch smoke with your bare hands. You just want to stop drifting like a balloon, pricked by a needle. No more floating, no more thinking, no more feeling, no more fighting, just quiet. I mean, I couldn't think of a more...
Kirsten Vockert, thank you so much for
remarkably, in a sense, sort of, not beautiful, but articulate and succinct way of describing the standing outside of yourself, looking down on yourself, feeling utterly helpless.
That is just such a beautiful description, because I can tell from that you, like me, get frustrated when people just dismiss suicide as a selfish act. It's not. It's a desperate, you have to, there is nowhere lower you can go, is there, to be able to do that to yourself. So thank you for sharing that and putting it so beautifully.
And I think if one thing Bradley Cooper has done very successfully, and I think that's part of the reason his character is so sort of, in a way, beautiful and kind in it, and is that, you know, he refuses to let us dismiss the decision that he's made as selfish. I just saw this one from Tara. We have to put a
spoiler on this, won't we?
Yeah, I've seen this one from Tara. I'm watching the two of you. You guys are beautiful disasters. I like that as a description.
Thank you, Tara. We're beautiful disasters.
Maybe we are beautiful disasters. Oh, great review.
That's such a good... Do you know what, though? Isn't that a great mantra to have? Because we both struggle in different ways with our own mental health. Like everybody does. And we're looking for mantras, and we try meditation apps, and but I actually quite like that. Beautiful disaster. There's a real acceptance in that. Oh my, I just got back from seeing this. I don't go to the cinema that much, but liked your review and saw it years ago. Oh, I've just lost a family member to alcoholism, so really touched a nerve. Great film. Thing is, Karen, this stuff kills you. Booze kills more people than drugs do, actually. And yet we are made well aware of how dangerous drugs are. But why do people not think of alcohol as a drug? I don't understand.
Alcohol is the only drug, as a documentary said recently, where you have to apologise if you don't want to drink it. It's like we've got to, we have many social occasions coming up, and I felt I had to apologise that I couldn't go. It's ridiculous, isn't it? Would you apologise because I can't smoke crack cocaine? No, not at all. This review made me cry as much as the movie. Steve Madlock. My brother suffered with substance abuse, and I thought of him through the whole movie. Thank you for this review. Well, again.
Oh God, I'd be really interested, Steve, if the pinch points were the similar ones, because Mark and I went to the cinema separately to watch this.
Yes.
And then when we met up afterwards, like that bit, all those bits that were kind of. Some of it was almost verbatim kind of conversations that Mark and I have had.
Absolutely. Well, his moment in the rehab centre where he looked as fresh-faced, I don't anymore because we're talking 14 years ago, but I looked as fresh-faced as him when he was looking at, you could see, what I thought was brilliant, again, this is where the makeup and the design and everything in this film was so good. I wonder whether Bradley had actually drunk purposefully to look as ruddy and as shodded as he did when he was drunk.
No, he had great makeup.
We had great makeup, but there was look at him when he looks out the window of the car. There was a swelling to his skin that is an alcoholic swelling, and it wasn't done with prosthetics or anything like that. Then you look at him at the rehab centre. I'm sure he probably then did sort of clean up his act. You know, these are the kind of. I just think there was some
we need to watch,
great authenticity.
You know what?
About
it's really weird because we didn't watch any of the interviews with Lady Gaga and Bradley beforehand, and everyone keeps saying you've got to watch this interview.
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
Finding them late at night.
I'm not ready to watch them as them because they're still their characters. I'm not ready. I don't think I'll be able to watch for about a year.
Yeah, I don't think I can. Yeah, the thought of Bradley Cooper playing Rocket Raccoon just does my head in. The end of this movie really brought an emotional issue for me. I was crying the entire next day and was torn. You said it right, for anyone who has suicide that runs in the family, then it really touches a person the wrong way. I love the movie, but my point of view is since Lady Gaga is a founder of Born This Way Foundation and understands addiction, then I'm wondering if when making this movie, if anyone thought about if this would bring this out in person again. Tough call. Good movie, but it depressed me and I walked out sad and broken. That's from What's Up. What's Up?
You know, I get what you're saying there. I do get what you're saying, because we were doing a live the other day, and she asked, as one of our followers asked whether she should go and see the film because her fiance had just gone into rehab, and we both said personally we would probably say don't at this time. And I know what you're saying there. I'm even now, my guts are churning. I'm still really upset by the movie. Should there almost be a health warning there? Because it gets right in it puts a finger into the wound and it twists it. So.
But that's the part. This is.
I know, but maybe what she's saying is maybe there could be a bit of a warning because some people that are more fragile, like if you've just lost someone to suicide.
Absolutely.
I mean, I lost somebody very close to me to suicide a long time ago, and
that's what made me hesitant about recommending it to you.
It's brought up stuff.
Yeah.
So I would certainly say to somebody, if you've just lost somebody to suicide, I would say it's not the time. It's not the right time.
No. This is from D. Sheepers. Thank you guys for this review. Do you want to pick this one up?
Happy to know that it isn't just me who found this super emotional. I saw it on Monday. It's now Saturday, and I've been obsessed with it and still get teary every time I think about it. Oh, I remember reading your review, Dee, on the day that you sent this, and I pointed it out to you, didn't I? Yeah. And I said, isn't it wonderful that our subscribers, we've got lots of male subscribers, and that they're talking about crying and being upset. Just love that. Must be one of the best films, if not the best film of 2018. Even longer than 2018, and maybe of the 2000s. I would urge any and everyone to go see it. Few films can move your being as this one did. Oh, I just got goosebumps.
Yeah, I did too. With the caveat of what we were just saying about What's Up, I do think if you have gone through the intensity or are going through the intensity of either suicide or someone close to you is in rehab, I would step back from this film for a bit. As a genuine word of advice, but I would say, I totally agree with Dee, I would say that further down the line, this film is part of any rehab that you can go through for yourself, whether as a victim of addiction or depression or mental illness or as someone close to someone. This could answer things for you.
I love this review. I am what is classified as a high-functioning alcoholic.
This is Bombi1138.
But hardcore addicts don't have friends and family. They just have victims, and I have had to isolate myself to protect the things that I love. At the 9 minutes 30 seconds point, Mark said something that really hit me, and I did actually go back on this Bombi and look at 9 minutes 30 seconds. Mark said something really hit me hard, and to be honest, I'm terrified to go and see this movie. Thank you for your honesty and sharing the pain you both have gone through. It does make a difference. We just stopped the filming
Just stop the film there,
so Mark could have a look at 9 minutes 30 seconds.
Well,
What do you think?
it is the moment where he fell, and it did. A crack did develop, literally, not in my heart, but in my soul. And it's a crack that I think's always been there. I do remember someone saying when I was in rehab, and this is very helpful, and this might be helpful to other people. Most people who have profoundly difficult addiction problems are trying to fill a hole. I'm grossly simplifying what he said. If you accept that we all have a hole that we're trying to fill or sort of distract or just bung full of stuff so we don't feel what the lack in this hole is. Another analogy is we've all got huge fires burning within us of resentment, anger, upset, trauma, whatever. And he said that the danger, the addict with this fire or with this hole either falls down the hole or throws themselves in the fire. And so you're burning or you're falling. And they're great analogies. Those words will mean a lot to addicts. He said the job of an addict in recovery is to not throw yourself down the hole nor throw yourself in the fire. But neither is it to fill the hole or put out the fire. It's about living in relationship to the fire so that you can even, at some point in your life, take the warmth from it, but never be burnt by it. And I thought that was a really meaningful way to, and that's helped me massively in my life because, as he rightly says, the thing about the beautiful disaster, so much of what makes many addicts quite compelling or, sort of driven people and all these kind of things, which also drives them over the edge, is that fire. So you don't want to put it out. You really don't want to put it out. And that was just really helpful for me. But that's the crack I was talking about. It was a crack that opened. And for the rest of the film, I was having to keep myself in relationship to it.
Well, Bombi says there that when she saw what you'd said in the review, it hit her so hard. To be honest, I am terrified to go and see this movie. Thank you for your honesty and sharing the pain you both have gone through. It does make a difference. Go and see it.
Yeah.
Go and see it. Go and see it. You never know. It might help. It might be your epiphany. It might be the thing that helps you get well. You call yourself a high-functioning addict, alcoholic. Mark was a high-functioning alcoholic. So to the outside world, he wasn't letting people down. Nobody at work knew. So he was high-functioning outside. But what about high-functioning for you and for your life? You say you're isolating from everybody and everything just so that you can manage this life. Hey, what about the possibility you could get sober? You could get you can. So many people have, and so many people stay sober one day at a time. And your life could be completely changed by seeing this movie.
I find this, and the concept of high functioning is always an interesting one because I was.
What it means to the outside world.
Well, yeah, no, and the danger and the problem for the high. I hate these ideas of high and low because what is a low functioning alcoholic? Was it someone on the street?
No, I think it's really important. I think it's a really important distinction, isn't it? Because it means that the poor person is masking to such
but
a
that's
degree.
my point, and that's where I think the high functioning alcoholic has a huge problem because you are by nature of being a high functioning alcoholic, you are isolated.
Yeah.
You're at the top of that ivory tower. Because I was about to say, take someone with you who understands where you're at. But that's the problem. Yeah. Who do you take with you to see it?
So this is from Tara Mulholland. Thank you so much for this long share. It did break my heart. I remember reading it as you came in. It came onto my handset just as I was looking at it, and I read it straight away. I lost both my parents to alcoholism. I mourn them in life as the people I loved were ravaged by an insidious disease over the years. When death came, as devastated as I was also hugely relieved. I seldom allow myself to dwell on what I've experienced, but this review opened the floodgates for me. I watched you both, vulnerable and raw, and cried. I can only offer solidarity. I know the path you have both been down. Sadly, it didn't work out as well for me. I desperately want to see this film, but I'm terrified I will absolutely lose it in the cinema. Having a mental breakdown in the local cinema is not what I want to be known for.
Oh, bless you.
Anyhow, I digress. Your review was as raw and beautiful as the film clearly is.
Oh, sweet.
My best, you both. What do you think of that?
Everything you say in that just brings up the what ifs because you've sadly lost your parents. I mean, I have this terrible, in my worst moments, I have these terrible thoughts that when I'm a grown adult and the children have all left home and they're all embedded in their lives and they're grown up and we're sort of, doting grandparents, that someday I'll be able to, perhaps just drink normally, whatever that means. And it's when I read things like this and I hear, my children and my wife will be my children and my wife even when I'm 93. And if I was to pick up a drink at that age even, I could leave them all terribly traumatized. And so messages like your message, like that, just help us. They really do. They help us. And I'm so sad for your loss.
And I bet it was an enormous relief when you lost them. Because some people might read that and have judgment, what kind of a person would. But I get that. It's exhausting. It's exhausting, looking after and rescuing and propping up somebody with an addiction.
And the layers
As Mark knew, growing up as a child, because his mother, who is now 5 years sober, he had to do that all through his childhood. It led him to his own addictions. He's now stopped that. He's now stopped that, hopefully. Hopefully, none of our children will be addicts, but who knows?
Tara, you're the next generation. I mean, the thing, it's like being on a runaway train and trying to put the brakes on hard. And, not like literally, but it is quite literal, because the day you decide to stop drinking can change the outcome of an entire family. I mean, it can. And sometimes that can feel like a pressure, but at other times, if you let yourself go to the fact that something so simple can be so life-affirming, there's a reward from that. I know what you mean with the relief, because, I've often said that addiction and alcoholism for me is, when it gets as bad as it did for me, is a form of slow-motion suicide. One lacks the capacity to just do it suddenly, but one doesn't care enough to stop oneself inevitably heading down that conveyor belt towards demise. And the relief will be that, the layers and layers of deceit and heartbreak and self-harm and hope. I mean, it's the hope that kills as much as the hope that maybe this time it's going to be different, maybe this time it's going to be different. Anyway, Tara, you touched us very much with that message.
Thank you. And
thank you, everyone. On this
thank you so much
World
for your
Health
comments.
Day today, isn't it?
Yeah, so World Health Day today. Thank you so much for your comments. We're going to put underneath this film a number of website links for anyone that might be suffering or facing any of the challenges we've talked about today.
Do you know
Please
what I
keep
think?
sending your comments. We love reading them. We love hearing from you. And
Do you know what I think I might do? I might start a campaign. I'm going to message Todd Phillips, the producer of the film, and say, could we organise screenings of this film for families and addicts, families of addicts, and have a screening, like a meeting?
yeah,
Because then everyone could share with each other. You'd be in a safe place where everyone would be able to help each other. What do we think of that?
let's try it.
Let's
Let's
try
get a
it.
movement
Let's
going. It's a
approach
great
Bradley
idea.
Cooper
Let's
and
do
Lady
it.
Gaga.
Stay safe, everybody.